So how many of you are familiar with behavioral styles? It is founded on the platform of DISC. So we just have different names for the acronyms DISC. So I'm going to go through today what those are, some of the traits to look for, and also talk to you about some of the strengths of each of the styles, some of the opportunities of each of the styles, and why is that important while networking. So my goal and part of what I do for a living is really helping people to leverage those relationships. Who in the room wants to get more referrals? If I could give you some tips and techniques so when you walk into a room full of people like this, where you're going to be able to develop those relationships a little faster, maybe build some credibility and trust a little bit quicker, that will compel the other people that you meet to want to pass you more referrals. Would that be a good use of your time? Yeah. So we're going to go through a lot of information. I'm going to give you some detail. For those of you in the room who don't like detail, it's not a ton of detail. I promise I'm not going to bore you. But if you do want more information, I'm going to ask that you put your business card over by the little angry birds over there, and I can send you a link to identify your style. It's just a quick link, handful of questions, and it will tell you your dominant style. But then I'm also open to have conversations with you because some people will fall in between different styles. One of the things that we do know is that every person is a blend of all four styles, just in different degrees of elevation. I am going to share some stories. I am going to give you some exaggerated experiences or some exaggerated explanations. Please don't be offended by those. But I do want to make sure that you walk out of here today with at least some good examples so that you have some of those ahas on identifying some of the styles. The other thing that I ask is that you don't use this information in a harmful way. So don't use this information to manipulate a relationship because there are things in people's styles, characteristics of people's styles that do make it easy to abuse those relationships. And I'm sharing this with you because I've seen it happen, and you might gain the relationship or you might gain the sale short term, but that's not going to help you in the long run. And my goal is that you guys gain this information so that you can build long-lasting relationships, build loyal relationships so that you can gain referrals and gain new business for many years to come. Sound fair? Okay. So if you're familiar with DISC, the D stands for what? Who knows? Dominant, yeah. Type A personality. Our term for that is go-getters. So first thing I want to talk about some of the traits of that style. Then we'll talk about how to quickly identify that style when you walk into a networking event or an event or a family event. And then talk about some of the strengths and some of the opportunities. So we'll start with the D. Our term for that is go-getter. Those are the people who are very driven. They're very focused. They do things fast. They make fast decisions. They're more task-focused and less people-focused. It's not to say that they don't like people, because we do, and I'm saying that because I am one. They do like people, but they're more task. They're more bullet point, to-do list kind of people. So strengths are they're very goal-oriented. They love to win. May not be a strength for some people, as they love to be right. They think they're right sometimes even when they're not right. And they're fixers. So they like to fix things. Now that's not always a good thing because sometimes things just don't need to be fixed, right? So sure, some of you know my husband, so don't tell him I shared this with you. I am a go-getter and I love to fix things even when they're not broken. And my husband and I had been dating for a few years, and he finally came home one day from work and he's like, honey, I'm an engineer. You don't understand what I'm doing. No offense, but I don't. He's like, I know that you can't fix this. I just need to vent about it because I'm sick and tired of you trying to fix everything that comes out of my mouth, right? So we had to solve that problem early on in our relationship because every time he'd come home with a problem, I'm trying to fix it. And I'm not an engineer. I know nothing about what he does. I still try to fix it though. So if you've met that person who always likes to fix things, typically they will probably have go-getter in there. Now, fixing things is a lot different than helping, and we'll talk about helping a little bit further on. So, like I said, they love to be right. Those are the individuals that are kind of like the bull in the china shop. You see them at an event and they beeline across the room. They know exactly where they're going. They know exactly who they want to talk to. They're perfectly comfortable interrupting conversations. They're very comfortable in stopping and introducing themselves.
Wait, you talking about somebody you know?
Kind of. You can fit in a different category too, but you don't look like it today. So picking them out of the crowd. A lot of times they will wear black, a lot more black, a little bit of white, but they also like a pop of color. So a great example of a go-getter would be Tiger Woods. Typically you see him, I mean, he will, in a 90-degree day, a lot of times he's wearing black on black, right? And what does he wear on Sunday? Red. That's his power color. So typically go-getters will have a power color. With their vehicles, they're going to drive higher-end vehicles, whatever the budget, top end of their budget will afford. With their apparel, they're going to wear the top of the line. They're not really flashy, but they will be very high-end, very tailored, and very more structured, more professional. A lot of times ladies will wear ponytails or a very simple hairstyle because it's not about taking the time to get ready. It's about looking really good, but it's also about being precise, being dominant, and girls with your ladies with your ponytails, don't be offended by that. Mine's usually in a ponytail. But it's very simple because they want to get out and get stuff done. Sometimes they don't smile, and many times can be perceived as being arrogant because they have stuff going on in their head. They know they've got this little to-do list going on. They need to do this, and they need to do this, and they need to do this, and they need to do this. And sometimes they forget that there's other people around them. Yes, some people are laughing, but you know how that feels. They also they're really good at feedback. Part of the problem is sometimes they give feedback when feedback isn't necessary or wanted. But to pick them out of the crowd, they're going to be the ones that are very, kind of, like I said, bull in the china shop. Women will wear some makeup, but not a ton of makeup, not a lot of color. Men, again, kind of that pop of the color with tie. Very little jewelry. If they do wear jewelry, it'll be something statement jewelry. So when you're networking with them, they are sometimes a little hard to pick out based on what they're wearing, but usually it's the body language, and it's the eye contact, and they do a piercing eye contact. They have an extremely strong handshake. Have you ever shook the hand of somebody and they kind of do one of these? Or they do the one pump shake and pretty much break your arm? Those are typically go-getters. Now some people have been trained to do that, but naturally those are going to be your go-getters. So strengths for go-getters when networking. What do you think the strengths might be? Outgoing, yeah. Sometimes they are introverted, but when they go in with a mission, they're going to be very, I don't want to say they're approachable because they're really not approachable. They will approach you because when they want to meet you, they're going to meet you. So strengthsful networking is they're goal-oriented. They're going to go in, they're going to get things done. If you are uncomfortable going to a networking event, go with them and tell them who you want to meet. Because they're going to make those introductions for you. If they don't know the person, they're going to go up and they're going to introduce themselves first and then bring you into the conversation because they want to fix things. They don't want to just get their goal done, they want to get yours done too. So they're not afraid to make those introductions. So some opportunities that go-getters have is sometimes they do come across as being unapproachable. Sometimes they do come across as not wanting to have a relationship with people because, like I said, they've got their minds going and they're thinking about things 2, 3, 4 steps ahead when they're having the conversation with you. So while they might be eye-piercing, eye contact, they might be thinking about other things and it feels like they're going straight through you. So that can be an opportunity for go-getters. So let's talk about the next style, which is a lot more fun. Those are the promoters. So if you look at DISC, those are the I's. Who knows what the I stands for? Yeah, interpersonal, inspiring, influencers, depending on which program you took. We call them promoters. If you go into a networking event, could you guys think you can look around the room and pick out a promoter? Who might be a promoter in the room? Yeah. So Terry usually wears like a purple shirt. He's not, like I said, he's not dressing the part today of a promoter. He's grown up. Terry knows everybody. So the promoters in the room, those are going to be your really outgoing people, the people who love to have fun, they're full of energy, they're the connectors in the room. Yeah, Drew's like, not me. So we do have a lot of promoters that network. Promoters are really comfortable networking. So to pick them out of the crowd, they're usually the ones wearing brighter colors. So they're going to be more trendy. They're going to be the louder people in the room. And again, don't take offense to that, but they're typically the louder people in the room. They're typically the more bubbly people. They're the people who laugh a lot. They're also those individuals that will come in for a hug when you're meeting them for the first time. You guys know some of those people? Yeah. Some people are okay with it. There's some behavioral styles that are like, yep, they So that's a really easy way to identify a promoter, regardless of what they're wearing, regardless of how fast or slow they're talking. If they go in for the hug, one of their dominant styles is a promoter. So they hate negativity. So they're the ones that are going to be the glass is half full. They're always trying to find something positive that's going on. We could have had 10 inches of snow and they would have showed up today with bells on and just laughing and giggling about how fun this event's going to be, even if only 2 people showed up. So strengths when networking. What do you think the strengths might be based on what I shared with you?
A lot of people.
Yeah, they know a lot of people. They know a lot of people. So if you go to an event like this and you want to meet somebody, find them or go with them. They're going to know people, right? They're really good connectors. Yeah, Priscilla.
Positive energy.
Yeah, positive energy. Definitely. If you're really comfortable going to events, go with them. Be their shadow. Just hang out with them. They're going to know people. They're going to do a lot of the talking for you. That's a strength and an opportunity, right? So get to know them. Picking promoters out of the crowd is usually the easiest of the 4 styles to pick out. Again, a lot of times it's how they dress. I know sometimes guys will say, well, you know, I gotta wear a suit to work, but check out their socks. A great way to figure out promoter men is they've always got cool socks on or trendy shoes, right? Because men's apparel, let's be honest, men's apparel is not as easy to be really trendy and colorful. It's not as appropriate for them to wear the bright, flashy colors and a lot of jewelry and a lot of makeup. So with men, it is a little more difficult. The other thing that we have to keep in mind is sometimes, depending on what their profession is, might dictate how they dress. So a few years ago, I was working with a CPA. She was a forensic CPA. Who in the room knows what a forensic CPA is? I know there's a couple of you. So forensic CPA, they do all that diagnosis to find all the problems, and you know that penny that was off on the ledger. They're the ones that dig through all of that to find where that goes. So I was working with a forensic CPA, and we were doing a behavioral style assessment, and I had her nailed to be what I call examiner go-getter, and she wasn't. She was a promoter. And so after on one of the breaks, she came up to me and she's like, I am not an examiner. She's like, I hate to tell you, I hate to burst your bubble, but I am not an examiner. And I'm like, wow, every time I see her, she's wearing either black or gray. She's very reserved. She's not much of a people person in the environment. She goes, you forget she was not a CPA. And here today, I'm working. And then she opens up her jacket, and on the inside of her black jacket is this bright, almost fluorescent colored paisley lining. She has her suits custom made with something bright colored in her lining of her jacket so that she feels good when she goes to work. It was the craziest thing. She goes, every time you see me, she goes, just ask because I'm going to show you. But that's what she needs to do to be comfortable, because she knows that her work environment expects her to wear something very professional, something very controlled. She doesn't think people would take her seriously in her profession if she really did express herself visually and appearance-wise how she'd like to. Now, I did end up seeing her on a Saturday night. Different story. No blessings. So keep that in mind. Appearance doesn't always dictate. Now, with that said, what kind of cars do you think a promoter might drive? I'm sorry.
A clown car.
A clown car?
Pink Cadillac.
Promoter would be like a Mercedes.
Promoters could be Mercedes. Yeah, Mercedes is more of like a go-getter.
Oh.
Promoters like flashy cars. They like fast cars, hot rods.
Really?
The Volkswagen Bugs that are like the bright colors. They can put their flowers on it and all that kind of fun stuff.
A big truck with a lot of decals on it about your business.
A lot of people do that because it's kind of expected for marketing, but I can guarantee Drew was probably one of the first people on that wave to do that.
That's right, I forgot.
Yeah, so they want to be seen. They also want people around them. They do not like being alone. So help them out if you are at an event and they're by themselves or they don't know anybody, and make introductions for them. That's a great way to win them over if you want to build that relationship with them. So iconic promoter, everybody knows Ellen Degeneres. She is by far, she and Jim Carrey, by far 2 huge promoters. So that kind of gives you a visual of who they could be. So strengths, they know everybody. Strengths are they really know how to make great connections. They really want to help and please people. So they will try and make as many connections as possible. If they go into a room of 100 people, they want to meet all 100 people. It's a little bit different than the go-getters. Go-getters just want to be the right people. Promoters want to meet everybody. So that's a huge strength when you're networking. Opportunities is sometimes they see that bright shiny object. And so you might be talking to them and you might be engaged in a really good conversation, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, squirrel, scream all, nice to meet you. So they sometimes feel like they're not engaged in the conversation. And it's not that they're not engaged, it's not that they don't want to hear you, it's not that they're not paying attention, it's just something else has caught their eye and they're looking for the next opportunity, usually to help you. They're usually looking to see who else is in the room because they want to bring more people into the conversation. So it's not done intentionally to disrespect anybody. It's done because they're looking, because they like lots of people engaged in the conversation. They want everybody in the party. So they have a lot of connections, and sometimes perceived as not having deep relationships. So sometimes that can be perceived as an opportunity or challenge for promoters as well. So the promoters in the room, I know 2 of them, they do have deep relationships. Don't let them fool you. All right, so the next one is what we call examiners. Examiners, that is the C in the discs. So what do you think actually I kind of did that backwards. I don't know how to spell this morning, by the way. So what do you think the examiners would be?
Engineers.
Yes, engineers. So the examiners, I'm married to one. Drives me crazy. We always have this constant battle back and forth. So examiners are very pragmatic. They're very systematic. They like things to be efficient. They love productivity. When they come to an event like this, what do you think they're thinking? How fast can I get out? Right? Because they're not typically comfortable in going into groups with a lot of people. They want to come in, they have a mission, they want to meet a couple people, they know they need to network to build their business, and they want to get out as fast as they can. Sometimes those are the individuals that come in and they just find their seat and they don't engage in conversation. They know that they need to come and network. They're not really comfortable in the small talk conversation, so instead of small talking, they avoid the conversation. I was in California a few years ago doing a presentation like this, and we had about 100 people in the room. And this gentleman comes in, while everybody else is kind of doing the open networking stuff like that we all were. Comes in, he pulls a seat over to the corner, so we had seats all set up, pulls a seat over the corner, and sits down and starts reading the newspaper. Promoters went wild. How can he be in a room full of 100 people and just sit there by himself reading the newspaper? Why even come, right? So the promoters are going over, trying to pull this poor man out of his seat. The go-getters wanted to fix him because, he's got to be doing something wrong. He doesn't know what to do. I'm going to fix him. I'm going to help him. I'm going to introduce him, right? So everybody was trying to help this poor man. And so during the presentation, my co-presenter, Dawn, she knew him. And so she kind of called him out. She's like, so Tom, she goes, I noticed during that open networking part, people were trying to get you out of your seat. People were coming over and trying to have conversations with you. How did that feel? And he's like, well, it's a little annoying. And she's like, well, why? He goes, well, between 7 and 7:15 in the morning, I read my newspaper. It was 7:10 when he got there. So he needed to get his process and his system done. And she's like, so if you need to read the newspaper between 7 and 7:10, why did you show up? Or 7 and 7:15, why did you show up? He goes, well, I wanted to make sure I was here for the detail and the information. I didn't come for the networking. I didn't want to be late. So he showed up early for the presentation portion, but he needed to get his process and his system done. And it was irritating to him that so many people were coming up and trying to get him out of his routine. So keep that in mind if you have the wallflowers. Approach them. I'm not saying don't approach them, because if you are that person that can approach them and help make them feel comfortable, you're going to deepen that relationship faster. If you can make them feel comfortable in an environment that they're not comfortable in, you're going to be a connection and hopefully a good friend for them, and they're going to be more compelled to want to help you. So the traits are much more introverted, they're slower paced than the promoters and the go-getter, and they're very much task focused. To pick them out of a crowd, as I mentioned, they are kind of the wallflowers. Appearance-wise, they're going to be more reserved in their apparel. A lot of times they're going to be wearing gray and blue, or a combination of blue and gray. They will sometimes look like they have a uniform, and I laugh at my husband with this all the time. He's got his khaki pants and he's got his gray pants, and he's got the same shirt in 4 colors, blue and gray, and 2 shades of blue, by the way, and a black one. But they don't want to have to think about it because it's not in their mind. It's not a good use of their time trying to figure out how do they dress for work. They also will do research to find out what's the best quality. So they're not afraid of spending money. Sometimes their apparel might look a little dated. They're not afraid of spending money. They just want really good quality. They want something that's going to last, and they want something that's going to be comfortable and appropriate for the environment that they're in. Again, kind of funny husband story. My husband, when he buys shoes, he buys 2 pairs of the same color.
Sure.
Because he really likes them, and he doesn't want one to ever wear out, and him not to have a backup because God forbid he have to go to the store and shop for something different. So they tend to have kind of the uniform. And I don't say that meanly. Trust me, I love my husband. If it was something bad, I would never share those stories with you. Maybe. Again, some of you know my husband, so disclaimer there. But they're very efficient, very pragmatic about making decisions. Now, when it comes to vehicles, they're the ones that will drive a car until the wheels fall off because they got to get their money out of it, right? Alita's shaking her head. She knows somebody like that. So one of my old clients, and this was just a couple years ago, he was still driving a 1983 Bonneville. He had to fix the driver's front seat every time he got out of the car because the driver's front seat had broken and it was laid back. So when he opened up the car door to get out, he would have to get out of the car and immediately the seat would fall back, so he would have to fix it. But it was still running. So why get a new vehicle? So he finally got a new vehicle when literally one of the wheels fell off. Sorry, broke. So, but it was efficient. It was still getting him from point A to point B. It was still decent on gas mileage for what he needed. It was still effective use of his effective transportation. So some people might say, gosh, if they're wallflowers and they really don't talk to people, they don't network like this, why would they be a good networker? Why would they be good as a referral source or referral partner?
Process and habit.
Process and system, yeah. So they love their detail. And if you can educate them on what it is that you're looking for, if you can educate them on how to pass you a referral, if you can educate them on how to make a good introduction for you, they will put together the process and the system to make it happen. And you will get consistent, proactive referrals all day long. Because once they know the system, they will follow it routinely to make it happen. So while people underestimate them as being good referral sources, they can be one of the #1 referral sources for you when networking. They're just not going to work a crowd like our promoters are, right? I talked about vehicles, handshakes. Definitely don't. If you identify somebody as an examiner, don't go in for a hug. Don't go in for a hug. You can quickly identify them though. If you step in to shake their hand and they do the step back, that is a key indicator that they are an examiner. They definitely love their personal space, so that's probably the #1 way you can identify an examiner. Okay, so let's talk about nurturers. So nurturers, those are the S's in the DISC profile. We call them nurturers because that's truly what they are. They are the loving, caring, serving individuals of our world. They do come to networking events. They are very effective in building really deep relationship. So they are slower paced, and they are definitely people. When you meet them networking, a lot of times they're going to start asking you personal questions. They're going to ask about your family. They're going to ask about your pets. They're going to ask you about how you help people. They're very loyal individuals. To pick them out of a crowd, if you go to a networking event, they too will be sitting down, because they're going to be more casual in their nature. They're going to be sitting down, or you're going to find them in nice, quiet, one-to-one conversations. They're going to be very soft-spoken. When you shake their hand, it's going to be one of those lighter handshakes. It's not going to be that go-getter where they pound your fist into the ground. They typically will be wearing more relaxed clothing. They wear a lot of neutral colors, so they wear a lot of browns and khakis and olive greens. You can really pick them out in shoes, and I know right now, weather permitting, it's kind of hard to do the shoe thing because a lot of people are wearing boots. Are you guys familiar with Merrell's? Merrell's is like the #1 shoe for nurturers. They're really comfortable. So we did this presentation once, and usually, when we do the longer version, we break you out in your style, and the entire front row of nurturers were Merrell shoes. But it's all about comfort. And they're not the ladies that are going to be all done up with a lot of makeup. They're going to be very simple with makeup. Jewelry, they might wear 1 or 2 pieces, and if they're wearing jewelry, a lot of times it's going to be those special pieces, like their wedding ring or a locket that was given to them. It's going to be something that has some kind of emotional value to it. They're going to be the ones driving the minivans, even if they don't have kids, because they want to be prepared if somebody needs a ride someplace, right? And I will never drive a minivan. Sorry, just saying. But to pick them out of the crowd, they are going to be the more soft-spoken ones. They are also very underestimated in their referability and in their ability to pass referrals, because they don't know hundreds of people or thousands of people like our promoters and our go-getters do. They just know some of the right ones. For them, it's all about having the right relationships, the deep relationships. When they trust you enough to pass you a referral, if you get a referral from them, it's typically golden. Because they don't want to disappoint you, and they definitely don't want to disappoint the person that they're referring you to. So it might take them longer to build those referrals, but it's going to be those good, high-quality referrals because they're really doing it from their heart. They're doing it because they want it to be beneficial for all 3 parties involved. They want to look good because they do truly care about those relationships, but they definitely want to please people. They're the people pleasers. So strength when networking is get to know them. Invest some time in getting to know them and who they are, because they do really have an awful lot to offer, and they know the people in their network so well that when those opportunities come up to be able to make connections for you, they're going to do it, and they're going to do it honorably and in a manner that's going to truly serve you and help you. The opportunity that sometimes we run into is just that same matter. They truly have good, loyal relationships, and they have that willingness to serve others. So a lot of times they say yes, and yes, and yes, and yes, and all they're looking for is to be appreciated. All they're looking for is a little acknowledgement back that they are appreciated. If you are one of those styles that take the yeses, and take the yeses, and take the yeses, and never show them that appreciation or gratitude, they're gone. They're not going to tell you. They're not going to say anything to you. They're not going to tell you that their feelings are hurt. They're just going to be gone from the relationship. So that is an opportunity, because some of our styles, our faster paced styles, we tend to ask for help. Well, go-getters never ask for help. We tend to ask for people to come on our team, or ask somebody to do a project for us, or ask somebody to be on a committee with us, or ask somebody to go to an event with us, and they say yes and yes and yes. And sometimes all it takes is that phone call to say, hey, it's a Tuesday afternoon, just wanted to check in and see how you're doing. You do that, they're back on board 100%. And they're even more loyal than they were the day before. So make sure that when you are networking with nurturers, ask them personal questions, get to know them personally, and show them some appreciation and gratitude, because they will give you so much more when they feel that they're appreciated. So, lots of information. How do you approach other styles? My recommendation is, if you understand their style, even if you just take one little nugget of each of the style today, if you're a fast-paced person, you're working with a nurturer and examiner, just slow down a little bit. If you're a slower-paced individual, an examiner or nurturer, and you're interacting with an examiner or a go-getter, be really positive. Be really positive. Pick up your, put a little bounce in your step. Smile and engage where it might be a little uncomfortable. But I guarantee if you can adapt to the other styles, they're going to be more compelled to want to build a relationship, continue a relationship with you, whether it's getting together for coffee or going into a deep referral relationship. Honoring their style is going to bring so much more to your connection with them. So if you do have questions, I will be here. Again, if you want the quick assessment, just put your business card over there. I will email you the link just to do the quick assessment. There's no charge for it, just some good knowledge for you. I'm always free for conversations. Thanks so much.